He's missing a tooth in the front.
And yet you
And
think that's
it's not...
hot?
Yes, it's not giving like hillbilly uneducated vibes. It's just giving like unconditional beauty vibes. I'm like,
Okay.
I need to audition to be a thruple. Not audition, that sounds so nasty. I need to just apply.
Welcome to Too Much.
Our podcast about, well, whatever.
From issues of the world to topics of lesser grandeur. We've got you covered with a little bit too much to say about everything.
So let's start the show.
Don't point your finger at me, little girl. You got the right one today. Michael.
And I have the voice of a bland white person, Cody.
Someone did comment that, did they not?
Yes, they did. And
Or something similar.
I don't even know if it was a joke or what. It was weird.
Yeah, someone left that comment under the YouTube post and it was like, I don't know what you're getting at, but I'm not engaging.
Right. You're not engaging. You laughed.
To be honest, when they said it, I wasn't even sure what they were talking about. I do this thing where if people say something to me and I don't hear them correctly, and I'm not in the mood to like ask for an explanation or to clarify, I'll be like, ha ha ha, okay.
Hear them correctly. It was
and move on.
It was written out.
But I didn't know what they were talking about and like what the reference was. We talked for over an hour about like 50 different things.
Anyway,
I wasn't too...
Speaking of YouTube, you have a super successful video.
I know. Call me famous right now. I mean, paparazzis are outside my window.
Oh my gosh, give them a show.
I mean, for real, bravo.
Put up a sheer curtain and do the silhouette challenge.
You know, I did the silhouette challenge the other day.
And how did that go?
You
didn't post it.
No, it wasn't for the public.
Oh, damn.
I was just trying to see how it would work because I always have such a hard time doing TikTok videos. I find the transitions to be so hard. I find the whole process to be so difficult. I see people doing a TikTok and I'm like, you know, Jasmine Masters and All Stars, she's like, ooh, how you do that? That's magic. It just looks so amazing to me. And I'm like, how do you do all of this?
I find it very difficult to sync up the music. Like, because I like to cut on a beat and I find it so difficult to like move the beat around on the app.
That was giving me a warm time as well because I wanted the beat to hit a certain moment when it turns red. And I was trying to find, can they show me the song so I know when, at what point in the song it goes to that, you know, beat?
Yeah, they won't show you the song till after.
I was like, I kept having to go back and forth and it taking off a couple seconds here, putting a couple seconds there until it kind of matched. It was a bit annoying.
Tell me about it. I'm not of the TikTok generation, I guess.
No, I aged out. I'm not a Gen Zer. I am a full-fledged baby boomer at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I own that. But yeah, speaking of successful YouTube videos, I posted last night, a video of the drama that happened with RuPaul's Drag Race Season 13, Untucked, Episode 5. Go look it up. It was one of the most entertaining moments we've ever had on RuPaul's Drag Race Untucked. It was entertaining, but at the same time it was a bit scary because I didn't know if it was going to go to blows, but I was like, they would never let it get to that point, would they?
They would never let it. And you think it actually would have? I don't think it would have. Kandy was the one talking about going to blows, and it looked like it was just absolutely all talk. She's one of those girls who runs around the room like, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here. Well, girl, the door is right there. If you really need to get out of here, just walk out the door. You don't need your two friends to come along with you just to leave. Like, just leave.
She was literally like, girls, I need to get out of here. Like, they need to come escort her out or something.
Honestly.
It reminds me of that thing where, as a kid, I don't know if North American people do this, but as like a Jamaican kid growing up, we would like joke around, like play fight, be like, I'm gonna beat you up, like I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and then you'll tell your friend, don't like let me go get them, and then your friend would let you go, and then you wouldn't do anything, and you're like, why did you let me go? Like I don't really want to fight. You need to hold me back.
That's exactly the energy it was giving. Absolutely.
But Tamisha was about that life, and she was like, you're not going to disrespect me. I distinctly remember hearing her say, you're not going to call me bitch that many times. Like, you need to, that's not flying with me.
Yeah. And also she's like, I still respect you. I just don't enjoy being around you. Like, We're fine. We're in this competition, but like I'm just not friends with you.
I know. And she kept saying like, I'm a pretty girl. I'm a pretty girl. And Tamisha's like, yes, you are beautiful. But doesn't
I
change
light
the
up the
fact that,
room. I'm a star. It's like, oh man, you're trying to convince yourself just because you're a very insecure person and being called arrogant triggered you. Probably because it's not the first time she's heard it, because it's
oh,
true.
for sure. I mean, the beginning of the entire season, she was calling out her drag mom and like saying just the foulest shit. She was jealous of me because I was a star. She keeps
Yeah.
saying that. That's
And
like her theme.
we thought it was just like Kiki TV, like let's be funny and cute, like we're throwing
But
shade that's like 50% true. No, that's how she feels. That's how she acts.
yeah, that is really her tea. She really thinks that she is the best thing ever and everyone's jealous of her. I never
Oof.
understand people like that who think everyone's jealous of them. Like, why do you think
I,
that?
they're trying to convince themselves.
But yeah, I did a video on it and it's going viral. In my opinion,
Viral.
in my opinion,
It's doing very well compared to the other videos on your channel, which your channel is already doing well compared to other channels that have only been up for 6 or 7 months. So it's really good. Congrats.
yeah, thank you. Give me my roses now.
You
But
could die
well,
tomorrow.
and I would die knowing that I was a viral sensation.
Exactly.
What have you been watching on TV apart from Drag Race?
Oh my gosh, I started watching what is it called? The Great Flower Fight or something like that on Netflix.
Oh, is this
Anyways, there
what country is it
HBO
held
Max
in?
has a new it's I think it's British. HBO Max has a new show about flowers.
Okay.
And in Canada it comes on a channel that I don't have, which I can probably find it illegally, but I haven't done that yet because support television. I work in that industry and we're dying. But Netflix, coincidentally, at the same month, also premieres a flower competition show, and it's basically like the Great British Baking Show, but with flowers. So it's like there's no prize money. They win Best in Bloom each week, but they're doing these huge like floral creations that take like design and architecture and things like that. Um, I thought it was so good. There's this one gay couple. Okay, spoiler alert. If you're gonna watch it, you're probably not, but I like these kind of shows. Spoiler alert: the gay couple ends up winning the whole thing. Neither of them are florists. They come to to the competition just as artists. They're both like super hot in this like grungy artist sort of way. Like
Oh,
one guy has like that kind of like oily bedhead hair that you just like. It's kind of like always tousled, but always kind of looks good. He's missing a tooth in the front,
and yet you
and
think that's
it's not.
hot?
Yes, it's not giving like hillbilly uneducated vibes. It's just giving like unconditional beauty vibes. I'm like,
Okay.
I could be. I need to audition to be a thruple. Not audition. That sounds so nasty. I need to just apply.
To be a part of their relationship, that's gross.
Yes, one of them's Canadian. The other guy's Canadian, who I think is a little bit Asian. I think one guy's white. I think the other guy's Asian. But they're just so cute together. And you know how sometimes like artists, especially gay artists, are super pretentious.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't give that vibe at all. Like sweetest guys. They were nice to everyone else in the competition. Super talented, but like aren't super cocky. I was here for it. I was like, congratulations on winning. Um, Call me later.
Wow. You are into the white guy with the missing front tooth and the oily hair. Work.
I never even thought I would say I was into the white guy, so it's been the shocking journey for me. Though watching those 8 episodes was quite the sexual awakening. Late in life. I've had so many at this
God
point.
help us all. I have not been watching much on TV this week. I've been very occupied. We've been posting a lot of videos. I have not been getting a lot of sleep. But when I did watch TV, it's not by
By
choice. I'm
choice.
shooting videos late at night. And I already have this insomnia
Uh-huh.
thing going on. I've been watching Shadowhunters. It's an old show. It's on Netflix. I'm just rewatching because I missed a few seasons. But that's that.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, back
That's
to
it?
Drag Race. Drag Race UK was like pissing me off last week. That's another thing.
Oh
Estina
man. Who went
Mandela.
home again? Astina. We lost another. I will call her front runner because she was basically in
Yeah,
everybody's
I thought she
top
was going
four.
to be in the top four. I thought Cherry Valentine would have won.
And it's just been nonstop. Like, Yeah, it's been nonstop, just like heavy hitters. I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of Joe Black, but from what I've gathered from the ladies, she's kind of an icon in the community, and people thought that she would at least do decent on the show because she's such
Right.
a like quote unquote legend. First week, Joe Black's gone. Second week, Cherry
Who
Valentine's
was my
gone.
winner?
Cherry Valentine, I honestly thought, yeah, was gonna win the whole show.
And now it's
And
Tina
then
Mandela.
what? Now Estina Mandela's gone. I thought she was also a front runner, but the thing is, I liked her looks. I also thought she was going to be a front runner because I thought she was going to really turn it, and she doesn't really turn it. I don't know what she would have done in a singing and dancing competition because she came in like, I'm the dancer, I'm the real dancer. Other girls claim they're dancers, but like I actually am a professional dancer, which she is. I've seen her do backup, like backup dance for lots of artists. But then when she was in the bottom and she had to lip sync for her life, chaos. Just
It
chaos.
was not cute.
No.
Yeah, that lip sync, she deserved to go home for it. But yeah,
You know when the girls are just like reaching? They're just reaching for something. Like it felt a little bit desperate.
oh, it was
It was like,
definitely desperate.
did your mind just go blank and you forgot all of the moves? And it's funny because I told you I saw that video of her on Instagram, like jumping from one story of a club to the story below, doing the splits.
And a whole
Where
stripper
was that
pole.
energy?
Yeah.
She started the lip sync doing like a windmill kick. That was the beginning of the end. At the beginning and the end, everything else was just filler.
It was disappointing to watch. It was sad. Right now, I don't know who's gonna win. Hell, Sister Sister could win.
Hopefully not.
No shade to Sister Sister. But that's it for what we've been up to, right? Nothing new.
That's it. All right, let's get into a few things from the timeline this week. The first thing I want to mention is there was an Ontario college that posted a job application looking for a shirtless man. They posted it on Indeed, apparently, and the college was looking for somebody who could produce and record YouTube videos with a group of people. They were looking for a male media producer, that's a quote, who could create entertaining situations. That is another quote. They said apply with a shirtless, short video presenting yourself and the talents you can add. Doesn't that sound nasty?
It sounds very. Why? That's just so. No, that's weird. That's weird.
Well, the college retweeted or replied to the tweet because somebody screenshotted it and posted it on Twitter. And the college replied and said, "We can confirm that this job posting did not originate from Durham College and is not legitimate. We're investigating its origin and working with LinkedIn to rectify the situation and remove the post."
Okay, well, at least
Do you think they're lying?
I don't think so because it would be a very bold statement to say we don't know about it. Let's get LinkedIn's name involved because LinkedIn would have been like, yeah, there's no fraud or fake profiles being created here. This is coming directly from this email address that's linked to the college.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, what if it was just like a rogue employee who wanted to pull some foolishness?
Yeah,
Maybe it's a computer hacker
maybe it could be some students.
for like a low key joke.
Yeah, that's definitely weird. When you said shirtless guy, I was like, for YouTube content? Okay, that's a lot.
Yeah, like your producer needs to be shirtless. Okay. I mean, it would create entertaining situations.
Well, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind if I had a producer that was shirtless all the time. Something to look at.
Nasty.
Here's my story. This wife stabs her husband after finding images of him with another woman. Now,
Makes sense.
makes sense, but here's where it gets interesting. It says a Mexican woman has been arrested for viciously stabbing her husband in a jealous rage after she discovered images of him having sex with a younger woman on his phone. To make matters worse,
He ran into my knife 10
I
times.
know, very Chicago. To make matters worse, the images turned out to be her when she was younger.
What?
I know.
No.
So he was probably just looking at old sex tapes of them.
No. First of all, how do you not recognize your young body?
I know. How do you not recognize
When
that?
I'm old, it's probably all I'm going to think about. But then you stab him before even realizing that you know she has crazy jealousy issues when she just saw a picture and
Pay it.
didn't even look at it long enough to realize it was her. And then how sweet is it that he has pictures of them doing it from back in the day on his
Yeah.
phone instead of just saving some Instagram thought.
And reliving his little fantasy, remembering how hot his wife was. Then comes in this
Oh, did
raging
he die?
bitch stabbing him. The fuck?
Did
It
he
did
die?
not say if he died. I don't think he died. It didn't say the stab wounds were fatal, but she was arrested.
Okay, good.
She looks like she's in her like
Well, you kind of have to
40s,
be.
50s, but it's like girl,
Jeez.
girl. Now,
That is so crazy.
my other story is of this very, very special young man. A man transformed himself into a black alien by cutting off his top lip and nose.
What do you mean a black alien?
Oh, his entire body is like tattooed black.
Oh, he cut off his nose?
Like he chopped off a big chunk
So it's
of it.
flat there?
It's I mean, there's a little bit of a bridge, but you don't have the tip or anything. It's very mutilated looking.
It's just two slits in his face like Voldemort.
Yeah, it's giving very Voldemort. And the top lip,
And cut off his top
yeah,
lip.
he cut it off to the point where it looks a little cleft. And it's just...
How does he even function?
Let me see if I can show you a picture of him. You're going to freak.
That looks like he's been through like burned.
Yeah.
But my thing is, isn't your mouth gonna be all dry all the time now?
I mean,
How does that even
I don't even
work?
think it's gonna be dry because the skin on top of your lip, like the skin between your lip and your nose, it doesn't get dry really, does it? And so you have no lips. It's just that
No, but
skin.
in your mouth. If your front teeth are always exposed, they're gonna dry out.
Probably. So he's gonna probably have dry mouth a lot.
Well, not like dry out, but it's gonna be so
His
uncomfortable.
eyes, the white parts of his eyes have been done black, which I've seen people do before.
Yeah, that's so
He
dangerous.
has metal things pierced in his forehead, and he also has implants under the skin to make it look like, some weird... Oh, it's just a lot. A lot.
Would you ever get a piercing?
No, I'm afraid of needles. I do not go get injections for fun. Worst of all, get impaled for fun. No.
But not even just regular earlobe piercings?
No, thank you.
Or like a nose piercing? It's like a little, just like cute little stud?
I won't say never, but it's not in the foreseeable future for me. I'm not someone that's looking to get piercings anywhere on my body. Or a tattoo.
Boring.
I know, I am very boring. I have a saying that the same way the Lord put me here is the same way He's going to take me back. Clean. Clean.
Okay. Clean. He likes to think.
Likes to think he knows. So, you guys have been listening to the podcast. Thank you.
But if the Too Much podcast isn't enough, there's a whole lot more content on Michael's YouTube.
Yeah, I post every single week, and I have literally too much going on over there.
Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and please drop a comment and tell us what you thought or what you'd like to see Michael do next.
Bye. Oh, no. Back to the show.
So today's topic is gender, which is a really hot button issue these days. I wanted to talk about it on the podcast because we just saw... So recently, Elliot Page came out as a transgender man, which, congratulations, living in your truth, absolutely. But then,
Congrats.
was it about a week ago, this article came out that said him and his wife... I'm trying not to misgender anyone here. Him and his wife are filing for divorce. I think they've been married for about 3 years. And
Right.
that got me thinking about all these couples that, now that, gender, what do they call it? Gender reassignment surgery. I think people call it, gender confirmation surgery. Now that that's becoming...
It was called reassignment back in the day, I guess, because that's what I remember
it's more respectful to call it confirmation surgery.
Okay.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, now that these surgeries are becoming more popular and more people are transitioning, it kind of puts some couples in a sticky situation. And so that got me thinking what if you're with somebody and they are the gender that you are sexually attracted to, and then they want to transition to a different gender, what do you do? Obviously you love them as a person, but what if you're not sexually attracted to their new body or gender expression. Does that make you shallow?
No, I don't. No, it doesn't make you shallow. It makes you honest with yourself. If I'm dating someone and they are gender A and they've come to the realization that they are really more gender B or gender C or E, D, F, G down to Z, whichever one they want to be, and I'm only attracted to A and A is what I want to be with, no matter how much I love you, in that moment, you just have to say, you know what? I care for you, but because in Elliot's specific situation, she was before now, Elliot's now he. That's his pronoun, he, him. But before he made this announcement, it was she, her.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, she was with a woman and they were in a lesbian relationship.
Yes.
So they
As far as
both
we know,
were
yeah.
very comfortable. Yeah, as far as we know, both very comfortable with the female bodies and eating vaginas and scissoring and doing what they do. And now Elliot has transitioned to him, and the wife is probably not attracted to him's. She is still attracted to hers. So it's like, why should she stay with somebody that she's no longer compatible with?
That's what I'm thinking. And I just want to say we're just using their relationship as a case study. And it just, when I saw their divorce announcement, it just made me think this. But they haven't said anything that this is anything to do with their divorce. So I just want to say that. But I think if I was with somebody who transitioned transitioned to the other to another gender, I think, I mean, I've been with both genders, so I think I would be fine with it. But there's some people who are very like, no, I have no attraction to the other gender. So I feel like that would be really
Right.
hard for them. And I feel like it's fair to say, I love you and live in your truth, but I just can't do this.
For sure. For sure. So you're saying if you were with a male today and the male wanted to transition to female, you would be totally fine. Vice versa.
I'm not saying I'd be like, yeah, let's do it. Obviously, it would be. I'd probably have to deal with my own internal like transphobia, and I'm a super self-conscious person, and I care what people think. So then I'm gonna be, it's gonna make me uncomfortable, like the way the world looks at you and the world treats you, and what people will think of me. Like I will fully say that will all affect me absolutely. So there's that.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then there's that whole like in between section where you're transitioning. You know what I mean?
Well, where
So
you
it's
still
like,
look like your old self, but you're acting like your new self.
yeah. So there's that kind of in between period where I don't think I would be the most comfortable, but that is just part of the journey that you have to accept when you're going through this sort of thing, right?
But the long story short of it is that you would find a way to make it work.
I think that I would. I like to think that I would, because I am sexually attracted to men and women, so it would be okay to date either of them. But it would definitely be a new situation. That's for damn sure. Would
I
it be a
mean,
deal
it.
breaker for you?
I would need to sleep on it.
Yeah.
like
Well, the
like
thing is,
yourself, I am attracted to females and males, but at the same time, if I'm being with one at I don't know. I really don't know how I would deal with it. The situation would have to happen to me, and then I'll see how I feel. Because it doesn't only depend on am I going to be sexually attracted with you after you transition. If like that's not even the biggest part. It's like, do I want to be with you if you change into somebody else? I don't know.
I was just gonna say that's a whole other thing because it's like people's personalities are gonna change,
Yeah,
and so if you start living as a different gender, you might be a completely different person, but you might be very different. Like
I don't.
say you were like a man and you were super masculine, and then Yeah, okay. So say I'm with a man and he's super masculine. He transitions to a woman and he's still a masculine woman. That wouldn't, like, I don't think that would vibe with me. Or say you were with a feminine guy and then he becomes, I don't even know, I lost my train of thought. Say you're with a feminine girl, transitions to a guy, and now he's a feminine guy, but you're not into feminine guys. You're into
Hmm.
girly girls, but you're not necessarily into girly guys. So then it's
Right,
like you're kind of a different person, and like our chemistry is a lot different than what it once was.
right. That is something specific. I do feel like I don't know anyone personally who has transitioned, but thinking of myself and putting myself in that shoe, if I wasn't me being the male that I am right now and the way I operate in my personality type, if I were to become a girl or something else, I feel like the essence of me would change.
I think so too. And you are physically taking hormones, so something about you is going to change.
Yeah,
Whether your personality changes drastically, there's going to be a difference.
for sure. You know what? So there's another story I learned of just the other day. This housewife, real housewife of Orange County, I forget her
Mm.
name. She's been married to her husband for like 20 years. They have like a shitload of kids, and they're very wealthy. I mean, they're housewives. And after 20 years, she goes to her husband and say, "I'm attracted to women." And she gets a whole girlfriend, and it's like this is a new situation.
Like now they have like a polygamy sort of situation.
That's it. And the husband is very obviously uncomfortable with it, but he's like, whatever makes my wife happy. I'm just trying to learn and trying to figure out how to make this work for our family. And the
Well, that's
kids,
big
because
of
there's,
him.
I know that's huge of him. There's so many kids, and their ages range from like preteen, teen to like toddlers. The older ones are like, we do not like this because right now it's making us uncomfortable. Our family dynamic is changing. If you're going to divorce, just divorce. But you and mom being together and her having a girlfriend on the side, this is really uncomfortable. And then
That's kind of selfish.
when mom goes away to have fun time with the girlfriend and leaves the kids and the dad, and mom comes back home, the housekeeper is like, by the way, there's a woman sleeping in your side of the bed when you were gone. And I'm like, I don't blame the man for bringing somebody else in. And I guess he's probably not really hiding it. He's just like, I'm not going to do it in front of you. Like, have it. I don't know. But
Well,
these
he may
situations.
not have been. He probably wasn't doing it when she wasn't going off with somebody else, right?
Oh, yeah, he wasn't doing it then because she would have found out because the housekeeper was like quick to tell her right away. So it's like,
But
if he
that's the
was
thing. It's
cheating,
like you're going off with this girlfriend, so now I also have a girlfriend.
right, everyone is saying they should just get a divorce because it is weird. You obviously don't have that same attraction for your husband. You were just doing it because you wanted to keep your family dynamic alive, and now you've decided to come out and be with a woman.
And
Go
I
be
think that
happy with a woman.
that's why she's still with her because she just wants to keep the family dynamic alive. Like she still wants to have that traditional nuclear family, um, and then live her life that is now more acceptable to live, I guess.
Yeah, I if I were in their situation, I would divorce. Just get it over with.
Mm.
We can still be
How do you
friends and co-parent.
how do you feel about people doing gender neutral terms?
I've been that way forever, if you remember. And
I
if
do
you're
remember.
listening to this and you've known me for a while, I've always done this. And it wasn't necessarily to make anyone comfortable, because a lot of people were uncomfortable when I would talk like this. If I'm talking about somebody, I would never say he or she. I would always say they or them. And I remember for years, people would be like, this is so annoying. Why are you talking in the third person? And why are you saying they and them? How many people are you talking about? And I'm like, I'm talking about the one person, you know. Like, but it's always been mostly because I'm so private. And even if I'm telling you something, I will tell you without giving you any information that I feel like you don't need to know. And so I've been saying that forever, and so it's not hard for me to transition to saying it for the purposes of non-binary persons, people, non-binary, non-binary people.
I don't. My thing is, I understand, transgender and transitioning to the other gender. It's harder for me to wrap my head around. Well, because like transgender people are actually transitioning to a different sex, or most like a lot of them are.
How about we define some things? Gender versus sex. I'm just saying. I'm sorry. He's rolling his
You and
eyes
your
at me.
because you always want to like Google some definition that you don't have ready.
I have it in front of me.
All right,
So calm down.
what's your
Gender.
definition?
Either of the two sexes, male or female, especially when considered with reference to social and cultural differences rather than biological ones. And obviously, you know that gender has evolved into not just male and female, but non binary as well. Or gender non conforming, it's synonymous with non binary. It's like I'm not one or the other. These are the two main ones. I fall in between in that gray space. So I'm non binary or non conforming. While sex is obviously, you know, the parts you were born with.
Right.
So gender is how you identify yourself, and sex is your sexual organs. Now, what you were you saying about the transgender? I just wanted people to have as much knowledge as possible so that they can follow the conversation and form their own opinions.
So, anyways, I understand people transitioning from one sex to the other. I don't as much understand people who um, want to identify with a different gender than what they were assigned at birth, if that makes sense.
So you're basically
Because it's
saying
like
that. Okay, go ahead.
some nowadays people are like, well, I don't necessarily feel like a boy, so I identify as a girl and use, female pronouns.
Yeah,
But I'm like, what's the point? You're just like you're still living within this gendered system world that somebody created, and you're just like dancing in around there. I understand non-binary more than those people. I don't even understand non-binary. Just get rid of genders.
a lot of people say, "Oh, we hate titles and whatever," but I personally think they are necessary.
But people say I hate titles, but I identify as a girl.
I know. Oh boy, it's complicated. It's complicated. Uh, so one, I think titles and labels are necessary to identify what is what, because then we're all just one thing. And even though we want to be one human race, we're just human beings and we feel different things and all of that. But I feel like it's necessary to categorize things because some things need to have their own thing, if that makes sense to
Yeah,
you.
I agree.
Now, where it
Yeah,
comes
I
to
agree.
people identifying as different genders than what they were born as or society would classify them as. So let's use me as an example. I was born a male, that's my sex. I was born with male genitalia, and society classifies me as a male for my gender. Now, if I said I identify more as a female gender wise, but yet I still want to keep this male form that I was born in, then it becomes a bit confusing for people like yourself. That's what you're saying, right?
Well, I don't. It's not that it's confusing because it's like whatever. If you confuse people, that's fine. But I would rather, if you're a man and you're a feminine man,
Just
why don't
be
you just
that.
be a feminine man and expand the definition of what it means to be a man from being something
Ugh,
so
I
narrow
agree so much because I
instead
think
of just jumping over into a different narrow gender. It's like,
I
oh, I'm kind of feminine, so I'm a girl. It's like, why can't you just be you?
I have a friend that I've known for many years, and he's a very traditionalist person. And we've had multiple debates about what it means to be a man. And he was like, a man doesn't do this and a man doesn't do that, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, give me all of your definitions for what a man should be. And he was listing them and listing them. And I said, where do I fit in everything you just listed? Strength, we're taking responsibility, providing for people, all these things that you mentioned. I'm like, I check every box and then some. But yet I do not act like the stereotypical quote unquote man who has that toxic masculinity trait about them. So I'm like,
Yeah.
you can be a man without walking with a dip or with that type of energy all the time, like yo bro. You don't need to be do all that to be a man. So in my opinion, as you stated earlier, we it would be easier for me to understand because I don't identify with a lot of these things. So we're just like trying to have a conversation here. I wish I had someone to talk to that was gender nonconforming or they were uh, someone who
Transgender.
transitioned from one gender to the next so they could give me their take. We don't have that person available or anyone like that available. If you are and you'd like to talk to us about it, hit us up in our DMs, send us a comment, whatever. We'll have a part two to this so we can get your insight. We'd love that. But if you are a man with the sexual organs of a man and you feel more feminine, just be a feminine man. Because when you look like a man, you have the parts of a man, and you say you are a woman, or you're a female gender, then it's like you are still living in this construct of a man and this body of a man, but yet you say mentally you're a female. Is it not just possible that
Yeah.
you are a really feminine man?
Well, I
Because
think that you should just be a really feminine man, and then it helps break down these gender rules.
yeah, for sure.
Like
Because
gender is something society made up. I mean, it's based on hormones and stereotypes and the way people traditionally acted as the male and female sex. But now that people of the male and female sex, like based on their sexual organs, are acting differently, people should just get rid of genders. Nothing should be male or female except for sexual organs. That's what I think.
yeah,
And then I think you help out future generations more that way than, just I feel very feminine. I feel like a woman.
and that's why
It's like, well,
I relate so much more to people that are non-binary. I relate to them heavily because that's the same concept we're talking about. Uh,
yeah, because it's just like throw it all away. Like to just throw away the rules. It's fine.
right.
But I prefer. I mean, prefer. I'm just saying my opinion. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I prefer gender non-binary people who are fine being called either.
Right.
I don't like when it's like you say he, and then they're like they. And it's like, what does it really matter? Like it's just words. Like how RuPaul is like, I don't care if you call me man, woman,
He's
da da
like, you
da da.
can
Da.
call
Like I'm
me
just a
he,
human
she, or
being.
Kathy Lee. I don't care.
Yeah, like what's really the big deal? But I'm just talking about from my perspective. Obviously, I'm not in that situation. Um, so maybe it obviously really makes people feel a certain way to be addressed a certain way, and we should address people the way they want to be addressed, and I try to. But I'm just saying, in a perfect world, wouldn't you just be able to call anyone anything or refer to us all as they?
In a perfect world, yes, because you cannot look at someone walking down the street and know what the hell their pronoun is. So, if we want to be addressed how we want to be addressed, then we just have to choose one pronoun for everybody. They, them.
Yeah, but then it's kind of like you need to describe people sometimes.
You do, and that's why the
But
labels are sometimes important because it's like if so. I remember listening to a police recording, and the white guy was like, "Oh yeah," and the police was like, "Can you describe the person?" And it's like, and he was going around the world and back. He was so afraid to say it was a black guy because
hmm
it's like you need labels to identify people and identify things. It's
you
necessary.
just do your best guess based on what they're presenting. You do your best guess, and if somebody, I think that if somebody misgenders you, you just correct them, and then go from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you get angry the first time, it's like, how was I supposed to know when you're presenting? I don't know how you identify. I only know the way you present.
Speaking of that, I did do a poll on my Instagram. I got a lot of interesting feedback. I asked people who followed me, "Hey, do you mind telling me? I want to get to know you a little bit more. What is your, you know, gender identity?" And a lot of people didn't take it seriously, but some did, and some people were like, "Okay, to be honest, it's whatever you can. It's like how I'm dressing in the day. So if I'm putting on something that's very flamboyant and girly, then if you call me her, she, I will answer to it. If I'm dressed really masculine that day, he, him, I'm good with that. But it doesn't bother me either way. And I spoke with someone that wears a lot of wigs and they dress very androgynously, and I really wanted to pick their brain because I didn't know what exactly they identified as, and I was curious. And they're like, I'm still really trying to figure it out, but for right now, whatever you call me, I'll answer. It doesn't bother me, and I'm not hung up on it.
Yeah, I used to follow this, I guess, influencer or whatever on Instagram, and it was a guy, and he had long curly hair, and he used to always get mad when he was like out at restaurants, and like the waitress would say, "Oh, and what will the young lady have?" or like anyone would assume he was a girl out in public, and he'd be like, "I'm a guy, blah blah blah. Why the hell do they?" Da, da, da. It's like you have really long
That's
hair.
what you're presenting
You're
as.
dressed in like tight clothing. They see like sometimes they only see you from a profile. Even if they see you straight on, you're kind of pretty. You kind of look like a girl. What is the big deal if somebody says you're a girl? If I was in his situation, it's just a waitress. Like, I'm not dating you. You don't even need to know my gender. Like, I would just answer the question like it was whatever. I don't really care.
Growing up, I was very close in age with my younger sister, and we both looked alike. And whenever my dad would bring us out and people would see us for the first time, people would literally be like, "Oh my god, your daughters are so cute," because I had very long hair. And my dad would literally just laugh and be like, "Oh, this is my youngest daughter, and that's my son." It was like not even a big
That's so
deal.
funny.
And as a kid, I didn't care. I was just like, "Thanks for the attention."
Oh no. Do you remember when we first met and I used to call you sis sometimes and you didn't like it?
Yeah, I'd be like,
What's that about? Let's unpack
"Yeah,
that.
we can unpack it. I'm always open for a conversation." So don't have that many friends in the LGBTQ community, and I don't talk to a lot of people that use those slangs like sis, sus, girl, like all of that. I don't talk to a lot of people who talk like that. So hearing it used to be to address me was kind of weird. I'm like, I'm not familiar with this lingo. It feels awkward. I don't identify as a girl, so it felt like you're misgendering me. And I was like, I don't get it. But now it's like if you say cis or girl or whatever, it doesn't. I don't even think twice about it.
I know you've gotten so used to it. And I feel now that you've gotten used to it, now I say it all the time.
Yeah.
I didn't really used to say it and now it's just caught on. But I talked to you about this the other day. Sometimes I feel bad when I say cis or girl because sometimes I feel like I'm using it in a situation where I'm like implying that the person I'm talking about is weak.
Yeah,
And then I think I'm being misogynistic, like internally
it is a
misogynistic.
little.
Because if it's like if something yeah, if they do something stupid, I'm like girl, and it's like, okay, why wouldn't I say like boy? Like boys are stupid too.
Hmm. It's very that
So that's that. I'm kind of like iffy about that. I'm trying to like cut that
because
out just because I feel like
what I always
it's
thought,
misogynistic, and the world is so misogynistic.
what I always thought before I met you and you started using those terms around me, when I would hear people say it, it was always in the context of speaking about a feminine male. Oh, that's sus over there, or that's sister, or that's sis. It's always in the context of he is a very effeminate male or a bottom or something like that in the gay community, implying again feminine features are weak or lesser than or whatever.
Yeah.
So I do get that, and it is misogynistic, but it's become a lot of gay terminology is freaking misogynistic and rooted in heterosexual things. It is what it is.
I mean, I think the idea is to be like, that's my sis, because sometimes like cis like girlfriends, like women, have
Tight
like
bonds.
a more like intimate and emotional bond. So it's like, yeah, that's my sister, instead of saying like that's my brother. Like my brother's just like, well, whatever, that's my bro.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it is. But yeah, sometimes it comes off misogynistic. But that's another thing that like even in the gay community, like tops and bottoms seem to get gendered, and the bottoms who get gendered female are like seen as like weaker or lesser than,
Yep.
or even less desirable, even though it takes two to party.
I never understood in the gay community. I mean, we always go off topic, so get used to it if you're new to the channel. This is not new. It always boggled my mind in the gay community because it's not like, anyways, people would be like, "Oh, he's a bottom" or whatever, and I'm like, "Why are you guys ragging on bottoms? Can you do what they do? Like they do a lot, and if you didn't have them as a top, then who would you be making love to? Another top? Doing what? Sword fighting?
It doesn't make any sense. There's something really sick about humans where they need to have somebody else to be below them.
Yeah. And it's really
It's
gross.
like even if you're in the gay community and you feel like the straight community is like above you, then you need to put somebody else down. You're putting the bottoms down, or you're putting the trans people down. You know what I mean?
Right.
Somebody always wants to push somebody else down to, I guess, prop them up.
It's really sad.
Messed up, man.
And it's always like, which one's the girl? Or the top has to be extremely masculine. Because a lot of them are like, I don't want a feminine top. Like, they can't top me. He's a girl. Or the bottom has to be very femme in their behaviors. Because if it's like actually, they want the bottoms to be very masculine and they want the tops to be very masculine. So they don't want any feminine men at all in the gay community. It's
Yeah.
like if you're an effeminate man and you're top, you're like at the bottom of the food chain. And if you're effeminate and the bottom, bitch, you don't even exist to us. You're like plankton.
Which is crazy because there's so many gay men who are
Extremely feminine.
like extremely feminine, or at least kind of feminine, or things along those lines. So it's like most of us have a little bit of something, but we're all trying to like be with somebody masculine, and it's like this elusive like masculine gay. I mean, I guess it's because you're attracted to men, and there's like men are like stereotypically masculine, and like you grow up around straight men, so it's like that's how you associate masculinity, that you end up in this like vicious circle of just like being in a straight relationship.
Yeah, it's sad.
And if you want your if and people who do want their like bottom to be so feminine, it's like, what was wrong with women?
You see, the thing is,
That's probably a controversial statement, but it's like,
they want a
you
feminine
know what I mean?
person because they want to feel dominance over their sexual partner
Misogyny.
at its finest.
The world hates women.
It always goes back right to that.
Honestly, every time when I think about anything, it's like, yeah, because the world hates women.
When you think
Absolutely.
about like,
And that is back on the topic of gender, so you're welcome.
thank you, Cody. So I want to read a statement by a person. What's her name? Bimini Bonbulish. She is a
By who?
Bimini. She's a
Oh,
contestant
Bimini.
on RuPaul's Drag Race UK. She is a out and proud non-binary person. She says, as humans, we are so complex that having a binary to fit everyone into it, whether it's just male or female, just doesn't make sense when there's 7 billion people in the world. Now, she had a lot more to say because this was a whole piece she did for Queerdom, but
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the quotes I took away from it. And I agree with this so much. I was having a conversation with you maybe a week ago or a few days, and I was like, I really relate to non binary people because I am, in my own opinion, I am a masculine male. I'm not running around flipping and doing very effeminate things. I do consider myself masculine. However, there are multiple facets to me as a human being. If one day I want to be extremely feminine, I should be allowed to do that without repercussion. And that's why I
Oh,
feel like
yeah.
non-binary is like the way to go for most people because every man has an inner femininity in them. You know what I mean? No matter how masculine they have that little thing inside of them, that little twitch in the booty, that little sugar in the tank, that at the end of the day, they can still flip a switch and be really vulnerable and really girly. And there's nothing wrong with it. But society has just made it so impossible,
Which is
which is
fine.
fine.
That's why you see like those guys twerking in like the dressing room
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
And
Everybody likes it's their pendulum swings from side to side here and there. No big deal.
exactly. So I feel like in the perfect society that we're trying to build and get to, eventually everyone's going to just be non binary.
And brown.
Oh, yeah. Because we're having so many interracial relationships these days.
Just a bunch of brown, non-binary people running
Can't wait
around.
to see it. Well, I probably won't be alive to see it, but I'll be looking down on it like, yep, I was a part of that
I
conversation.
did
I
that.
was a part of that conversation.
I made that happen.
Not really made it happen, but I did live my life in a way that was conducive for people to be comfortable in their own skin. You're welcome.
Exactly. Exactly. We're gonna have to come up with more gender-neutral terms. You heard the term nibbling?
Nibbling? No, I have not. What does that mean?
Nibbling is a gender-neutral niece or nephew.
I could do without that. I'm sorry.
But then what are you supposed to call them? It makes more sense for it to be like your brother or sister. No, sibling. That's okay, so that's what it is. If it's your brother or sister, the gender neutral term is sibling. If it's your niece or nephew, the gender neutral term that people I think have come up with in the past few years, I don't think it was used before that, is nibbling.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. Maybe it's a name that's not like catchy enough for me. Maybe that's it.
I mean, it's kind of weird because it makes you think of like niblets or
Yeah. If
something, the
someone
little
is like,
niblets of
"Oh, have
something.
you spoken to your
But
nibbling recently?" I'd be like, "What?" No.
when you think about sibling, it makes sense.
Mm,
It's just adding the N from niece or nephew right on there. It's perfect.
I don't know. I think I need to go back to the drawing board with that one. I'm gonna have to come up with something better. I don't like how that sounds.
What a- what about do you like the whole MX thing instead of Mr. and Mrs.?
I saw that. When did I see this? I saw this yesterday. I was looking at a poster, and they had like a drag competition, and it was a drag queen competition, a drag king competition, and then there was another competition that I assumed is about drag, but instead of Mr. or Miss, they put MX. So I was like, is this like a gender neutral drag thing? I don't know. Um,
Which I love. It looks sickening.
yeah, it looks fine.
I just don't know how you
Yeah,
pronounce it.
mix, Mr. Miss and Mix.
But it doesn't flow.
Presenting to the stage,
Mr. Cody? Mix
mix.
Cody?
I mean, you are mixed. But
It's weird.
again, it's all about branding because you can come up with anything you want, but if it's not branded right, it doesn't stick and no one cares. So I like the
Yeah,
idea
exactly.
of
But
it.
I've heard the MX years ago. It just hasn't really caught on. But I also think that people don't really use Mr. and Mrs. as much as they do, other than when like the bank sends you an email.
True. When I was going to school back in the hey, all the way back then when floppy disks were a thing, uh,
Mm.
when they were teaching you how to write letters, it would always be like ma'am, sir, Mr., Miss, like all of that. But now nobody even does that. It's just like Barbara, John, Topanga, like whatever your name is.
The world is very casual, which I like because it's like I don't need somebody to call me Mister to feel respected by them. Just respect me
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
and call me by my name. That's
Our
my name.
generation doesn't need that type of hierarchy to feel good about ourselves, for sure.
Amen.
But
Love that.
yeah, mix is an interesting term. It needs a little work with the branding, but I can get behind it.
And X is just the that's the letter, just like Latinx.
Right, because that's when it came about, in my opinion. That's when I first saw it and paid attention to it. When you people are like, I'm not Latino, I'm not Latina, just say Latinx for everybody or whatever. Because it's misogynistic
But
to
it
say Latinos to a group of people that encompasses women and men.
that's what I was just gonna say. You they were by default applying the masculine term just always.
Right. So that's cool.
Latinx.
Yeah. I'm here for it.
Anyways, I think we had a good chat about gender today.
I think we learned some things. If you have more to share, put that in the comment section. If you identify as a cis man, cis woman, gender non-conforming, non-binary, born a male, but your gender identity is female, whatever the case is, if you want to talk to us about your experience, like hit us up. Let us know what's goody.
Hey, what's goody?